everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend just a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings, the card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride.
And I'm Ted Bannock, and I love to talk about a wide range of cards today.
Wow. I bow to you. Because every week you have a new pun.
Yeah, I gotta, put a little sauce on it. So thank you, David. Now we're going to get a great episode in for everyone today. Another standard card review we got coming. And you do bow, David, to a certain list of 45 people.
I do indeed. So we're up to 45 patrons, and if you want to become a patron of the show, you want to help keep the lights on, you can join right down here. If you look down here, right covering Ted's head, you'll see the address. It's Card Talk 28. Sorry, it is patreon.com/cardtalk2018, and you can also look over at our blog found at cardtalk2018.com, and there you'll see a whole archive of stuff and new content being posted really often. Matt is our blog master, and he really puts stuff out there. If you want to help us, if you want to support any of our endeavors here at Card Talk, that would be great. Right now, as Ted alluded to, we have 45 people all helping us make this a better place, and those people are Mark, Jason, Miles, Ryan, Manuel, Grant, Katie, Eric, Rachel, Tony, Valentin, Eric, Duran's father, Moritz, Anders, Shane, Micah, Chris, Reagan, Robert, Brandon, Scott, Joe, Edmund, Peter, Niall, Carl, Vardane, James, Joshua, Matt, Russ, Justin, Jason, Robert, Kyle, Daniel, Mike, Robert, David, Sean, Lou, Phil, Joseph, and Dominic. Whew. It's uncomfortably long.
It's the way we like it.
It's the way we like it. So anyways, Grant, what card are we doing tonight, my friend?
Well, tonight we are doing a card requested by one of our patrons.
Yeah.
We are doing Ranger Bow. David, which patron requested this one?
This came from Jason, one of our new patrons. He didn't outwardly request it. What he just said is, if you want to do a show about something that would make me feel good, how about you do Ranger Bow? So we have a little bit of time. Con of the Rings just passed, so we said, why not? So here we go, Ranger Bow. So what is Ranger Bow?
It is the one-cost law weapon attachment, non-unique, attached to a Ranger character, restricted, action, exhaust Ranger Bow, and attached character, and deal 1 damage to an enemy in the staging area.
Grant, what do you think?
Me personally, I'm not a big fan of Ranger Bow. It is not action economy. It kind of, if it was just exhaust Ranger Bow to deal a damage, exhaust Ranger Bow to spend a resource to deal a damage, yeah, I'd be all about that. But exhausting your character on top of it, it makes me feel bad to even consider to put this into a deck. I mean, there is one quest where I would actually, there is one quest where I'd actually consider it, and that's the Mogul Veil. But that's the only quest where I'll probably consider using this card.
Okay. Ted?
Grant makes a good point where it hurts that you have to exhaust both the character and the bow to deal a damage. I feel like if they had made this a 0-cost card, it would help it a lot for having to exhaust the character. Or if it maybe costed 2 and then you didn't have to exhaust the character and it was just like a free damage every turn, that would be much better. So it fits though into the direct damage archetype. It's certainly another card, and it it does help that it goes on to a ranger character. It's not restricted to a hero. If it was a hero, then it would really suffer. But you can put it on some of the ranger allies. But even some of those, they're not necessarily cheap. I think most of them cost 2. I don't know if there are any
Actually, that's what I'm doing
one-costed.
right now as I'm going down through here. There's a 0 cost, the Dunedain Hunter. I mean, it has other costs, but and then
Yeah, and he's got 3 attack, right? If you
right,
put,
so you're not going to want to.
yeah. I think.
Yeah, so the
Most of them.
Northern Bowmaster, which came out from in Under the Ash Mountains, is a 1 cost ranger, and it's ranged. It says you cannot play Northern Bowmaster from your hand unless you are engaged with an enemy.
Yeah, and even then, so he's got it doesn't have he's range and also has 2 attack.
Right, he's ranged with 2 attack. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I put this on. So sometimes I'll run the Athelian Tracker,
Okay.
which is the 2 cost 3 hit point ranger and has the ability to exhaust it. And when the first enemy that gets revealed from the encounter deck doesn't count its threat, which is a good effect. But if you have multiple copies in play, they don't do anything. The effects don't stack, and they also have 0 willpower.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the best target I've seen for this, where if you get multiple Ranger of Athelians out, you can put on Ranger bows on your spares, but that's about it. And it's restricted too for 3 hunters, but there's so many better things you can get.
You could actually give it to the Andrath's Guardsman. You get them out, you cancel the attack, and then you can actually use them for something at least half useful other than jumping.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. And then, I mean, is there, Grant, you're famous for your Dunhere Duck Shoot deck. Not that Dunhere is a ranger, but I mean, does this fit into attacking the staging area? Like, I mean, of course it fits into that, but is there a deck that this fits into that it can be highlighted in? I guess.
If you're running, say, Thalin, Argalad, and a other hero, you could possibly build a direct damage deck which uses this card to somewhat affect, but that's stretching it for me. Like I say, it's not a card I go for because I don't believe it's worth the cost. The 1 cost and exhausting both cards, you can't even trigger 4 hammer off it. So it's like, well.
Yeah, you'd have to do a normal attack to trigger foe hammer, like not use the ability on it.
But what I'm getting at is you kill, say, he joins in the attack. You've got a hero joining in the attack. He's got that bow, and he's used the bow, but you've managed to ready him. You can't then trigger 4 hammer after he kills something to draw cards.
Right.
Because you've already exhausted the attachment. It's just a very niche card. So, like I say, you could probably put it in a direct damage deck and use it somewhat okay. But other than that, I'm at a loss for what I would actually use it for.
I mean, this obviously fits into a trap deck, right? I mean, this is what it's supposed to be, right? You fall into a pit, you fall into the spikes, whatever, and now you're using the ranger bow to chip away at those enemies, and I mean, so that's I think where it was designed to fit. But and Ted, you said the 3 hunters. It's a great, or maybe Grant. One of you
said it's restricted,
it's
right?
because
so
it's restricted, right? So if you're using lore and 3 hunters, that's okay.
It applies, is what I was saying.
Right. Yeah. It's better than not needing a restricted attachment.
I would go Legacy Blade running 1 side quest over Ranger Bow.
Well, and that's the thing. Like so this is what I'll say is when I am playing solo, unless I am trying to purposely damage things in the staging area. So I have Tactics Bilbo, um, you know, arrows from trees. I don't know exactly, whatever's coming, and doing attacking the staging area. Like this card is not going to make it into those decks. So I just playing. So I have my deck space is too limited in order to put this card into a deck. And so if I am playing solo and I need to attack into the staging area, I'm going to use Haldir with the Bow of the Glathrim on him, or two Bows of the Glathrim on him, because that's really good. Ranger Bow goes on to, well, I don't know. I think I'm echoing exactly what you say. I think the cost of exhausting the Ranger and then and then and then the weapon too is just too much. I don't mind that it costs one, restricted detachment that costs one, like whatever. It's not, it is what it is. But I don't know. I just can't see any other target that this goes on where you're like, other than what Ted said. I mean, maybe Moblung, because Moblung has an enters play effect. And then
Moblin can throw an enemy back in the staging area and raise its cost. And he's got 2 willpower, which is good, but then it give you the flexibility. So it gives you some flexibility. And I think if it does have a play, it's going to be in those direct damage decks. But as you state, David, it's hard pressed to even find it in those cases, I think.
Yeah, and like I say, the only quest that it may really prove useful is when you're trying to take damage on, putting damage on the last quest enemy boss of the Morgul Vale or Shelob. Trying to take that damage off.
Right. Yeah, and then you can dink Shelob and lose one of those
resources.
Lose one of those resources, right? Because it doesn't matter how much damage you do to Shelob in that one. I think the quest, it's not the Morgul Vale. I think it's the Shelob's Lair, right?
No, you've got the Morgul Vale, which has a similar mechanic. The last boss can only take 1 point of damage per set of damage. So if you've got like the Gondorian Spearman, each instance of damage would put 1 damage on. So if you just outright attacked them with 15, you'd only put 1 damage on, but each other separate incident. So you've got your Spear of the Citadel, there's 1. You've got your Gondorian Spearman, there's 2. You've got, say, the Ranger Bow, there's 3. Those all add on, but because they're from different instances of damage.
Right. Yeah, I just don't see.
Other than that, I can't see a use for this card. Personally.
You can't even put 2 on 1 hero and trigger them both.
No.
Yeah, you got to put it on separate characters. I think this poor person wanted to know about this card. I hope they didn't like it too much.
Right, I hope they're not loving it.
It's it's a weapon. You can fetch it with Open the Armory. It can trigger Foe Hammer again if in the really circumstance where you don't actually use it. So it's got a couple of uses, but I think it would, if it was 0 cost, it'd be much better.
Would it be? No, I don't think it would be.
Oh yeah.
But why? Like, who are you still putting the thing that we're putting? Come on.
Yeah, well, if I got my lineup of Tactics Bilbo, Argalad, and Thalin, that's going to be probably best case scenario. There's going to be 3 damage to a single enemy, right, in the staging area with those effects stack. And you're getting different effects too from each of those characters, right? Thalin and Bilbo are questing, and then you have Argalad doing this similar type of thing.
Right.
And Ranger Bow is just 1 more damage. Like 3 damage is not quite enough to get there. So Ranger Bow, it just like you get 1 of these out, and you're at that 4 direct damage consistently and reliably threshold. You'll be able to knock off 1 enemy like without any issues.
I mean, I would say it would probably, what would make it better is even if it just gives, like, say, +1 attack. You may not use it for its effect, but if it gives +1 attack, I can see me putting that into a 300 deck just for that +1 attack.
Yeah, or even if it's like -1 defense, or
Yeah,
put a progress token. I know that the Blade of Gondolin and there's all sorts of weapons that already do this sort of stuff, but
but they're in tactics.
right,
This is law.
right. So in
And
lore, put a progress. What else makes sense to? I don't know. It just So the problem I have with Ted's lineup is Thalon puts the damage onto the enemy when it comes into play. And then Bilbo, in order to use Bilbo on that same enemy, you'll have to use Late Adventurer or Hobbit Pony or something to be able to put it on after to have him commit. So that's your second damage. Then Argalad, you know, again, you have to reduce that to after. So it's like that
I'm not
enemy
saying
is
it's
going to
not a
have to
lot of work.
that enemy is going to have to stay in the staging area for a round before you can do all that damage to it.
Yeah,
And
it's
and
just
it just
another
seems,
effect. And like I said, you
yeah,
get a
no,
couple of these out, and it would make it so much easier if I didn't have to pay 2 for an ally and then 1 more for the bow after drawing. And if the bow was just, if I could toss it on that ally and just sort of give it that added ability, that would be much better.
yeah. I feel like in order to make the deck work, you need to have spirit access, because you need to have like valiant determination. Like you need to be able to ready things. So it needs to be a Hobbit deck with fast hitch, or I don't know. It just needs to
Right.
have something else with it. And it just seems to. So a while ago we had Eric Shell on the show talking about how how Alep is bolstering existing archetypes. So maybe this, ranger attacking in the staging area is good. I mean, of course it works with traps, and that's, I think, what it's meant to do, is to, like, if something's stuck in ranger spikes and you don't have to engage it, at the end of the day, you have a ranger left over that's not making an attack. You can be like, okay, I'll put a damage onto you know Mr. Goblin
Well,
Man in the ranger spikes or something.
So yeah, so here's the kind of thing that it does is it gives you kind of a pseudo ranged attack, because it is an action, right? So you can do this at any time there's an action window. So if you put this on your hero or whoever who doesn't have ranged, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get revealed from the deck during the travel phase window. You could put the damage on that character before engagements on that enemy, and then another player can engage that same enemy with a damage already on it. So it gives them kind of a pseudo, like, this character is now like adding 1 damage to the enemy.
Right. And I will claim that 1 damage, like when you're using Tactics Bilbo and you're putting 1 damage on to the enemy before you engage it, like you're softening him up, right? And so I claim that is underappreciated for a lot of players. Like, you have a 5 hit point enemy and it takes a damage, and then you have to kill it. Now you only have 4 hit points. Like, that doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is a big deal, or it's a bigger deal than you think. And so, like, Bilbo to me is really good at softening up enemies. But again, to have to exhaust a ranger and the bow, like, it just seems, I don't know, it seems really,
it's not cost effective.
yeah. I don't, like I said, I don't mind the 1 cost.
I don't mind if it had a better ability or had a stronger effect. I don't mind the ranger bow costing what it costs, but it's for what it does. It doesn't match the cost that I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why it should be 0.
Like I said, the 1 cost isn't the thing. It's the what it does.
Yeah.
Like,
I get it. So I think we presented a few options for people to, but I stand behind that. Everything's sort of got a place in the pool. So Ted, I'm ready to bring it.
Ted, even if this costs 0, I still wouldn't be putting it in the deck.
All right, that's fair. No, that's completely fair.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before we ring it, Ted was willing to ring it. He must have to go to the bathroom or something. But before we get to the ring rating, Ted, what about the artwork?
I like it. I mean, I'm a fan. There's sort of two styles of rangers in the game. There's the Dunedain Rangers, and then there's the Athelian sort of ranger of Gondor archetype, and that's what is depicted here. And I like it. It came out in, I think, a pack that had some more traps, or I think it might have had that same ally, the Athelian trap. It came out in the third cycle, and it came out when they were sort of starting to develop this ranger archetype, but it didn't really come together. But the artwork is cool.
It came out in Assault on Osgiliath, which gives you access to Lord Faramir, a few bits.
Lord Faramir, hero.
Yeah. Forest Patrol, which is deal 3 damage to an enemy if it has a trap attached to it. And the Plantia. No actual traps in this or other rangers other than Lord Faramir.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think the best part about this card is its art. I like it. I like the art a lot. And Ted's exactly right. It's it's the Gondor Rangers. It's kind of the masked, woodsy, foresty ranger folks, and that's cool. So I don't know. Grant, did you say anything about the art?
Yeah, I've just said I agree with you. I like the art.
I thought you were busy talking about what pack it came from.
No, I do like the art for the Ranger Bull. As you said, it is probably the best part about the card.
I especially like the background, the trees in the background. I don't know, the purpley color of it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they did a really good job on designing the art for this card. Maybe not the card itself, but the art.
I mean, it's called the Ranger Bow, and it's a ranger with a bow. So
right.
Nailed it.
It did everything that it was. It showed everything it was meant to show.
Yeah.
But the card fell flat.
So, Jason, sorry that this is the way the show is going, buddy. But
the hot debate over Ranger Bow.
Yes. Anyways, we will get to ringing this card. So, for anybody who doesn't know or is on Jason, if you want, you know what you could do is you could write the review, the card review, or a card review on the blog. We're still looking for guest writers, so you can review the card on the blog, and you can tell us why we're wrong if you wanted to. And that goes for anybody. If you have a card, you can definitely write a card review on the blog. Anything that you want that's open, go ahead, which is most of everything. But anyways, we have a highly scientific yet arbitrary system where we ring a card on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is the one card to rule them all, and 10 is the card that we throw back into the fiery chasm from whence it was made. So, Ted, I'm going to let you go first.
Sure.
Because you're going to give it the best rating.
Exactly.
I know where I'm rating it. So
yeah, it's... agreed. The card has its weaknesses, and the primary weakness it being you have to exhaust the. You have to draw it in your hand.
Yeah, you can't play it at all because it's unplayable.
Yeah, I think it should be a free attachment, and it doesn't really need to be restricted, to be honest, because it's because of its effects. So if they took off some of those things, it would be much better. But it has a place in the. Did I need to bring my Ranger Bow deck to Con of the Rings? I think that needs to happen. I think I need to put this deck together just to show it to you, or at least how it can function. But I'm gonna give it a 7.
A 7, okay.
I'm gonna give it a 7 because it is very, very nichey, and it is very cost prohibitive to put it on the table.
Okay, Grant.
But there are scenarios and good ways to use this card.
Grant, what does Meredith Grey say about this card?
I'm giving it a 9.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that.
There is 2 quests where I think this card shines. like, well, I say shines, where I would potentially use it, and that's Morgul Vale and Shelob's Lair. The rest of the time, this card is staying in the binder and just getting looked over and thoughts of, you should be so much better.
Well, you can use it to kill, like you can use it to kill Bill Fernie in the saga, right? He's an enemy that can't be engaged, but is also not immune to player card effects.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a handful of things. I agree with you though, Grant.
But are you
overall.
going to use it to kill Bill Fernie? Or are you just
Yeah, I'm going to shoot him in his dumb face. It's going to be my apple bow. I'm going to fire apples at him.
If that was the case, I'd probably just use Hands Upon the Bull with a couple of Bows of the Galadrim and snipe them with Legolas, Haldia, or any other character with range by that point, and instead of wasting 5 turns to kill him with ranger bow.
It's just sneak attack Gandalf. Done.
Well, no, if you've got 5 hit points.
If you sneak attack Gandalf and then you hard cast him the next round, he's done.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyways, I'm gonna split the difference between you guys. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Go 8.
Because I appreciate the two different ways that you guys look at this card, right? Ted, you're looking at it from a deck builder's point of view, and Grant, you're looking at it from a scenario point of view. I also am going to look at this as a deck builder's point of view, and I'm going to say that this card fits into a couple of different deck types. The traps, Gondor trap deck. I can see this card making it into that deck. Maybe some other direct damage deck I could see. But an archetype that's definitely not fleshed out as that sort of, the direct damage deck. So I don't know. So that's how I'm going to look at it, and I give it an 8. So there we have it, everybody. That's the Ranger Bow, a card suggested by a patron as of now, but probably a former patron once they hear the show. They're like, what? This guy? But we do take suggestions from our patrons, so that's the important thing. Anything that's going to get people thinking about building decks. So everybody, have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Do you love the content? Here's what you can do to stay connected. Become a patron. The money collected through Patreon goes into keeping the lights on here at the podcast. We love our patrons, and you can join at many different levels. Visit patreon.com/cardtalk2018. You can subscribe to us, whether you're watching our YouTube channel or you're listening to us in your favorite podcatcher. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications of all our new episodes. Didn't know we were an audio podcast? Find us by searching Card Talk to get access to our 120 plus regular episodes. Didn't know we were a video channel? Find us by searching Card Talk LOTR LCG on YouTube, and there you can find not only our regular episodes, but you can find our bonus playthroughs and other content related to the game. Want to get a hold of Ted, Grant, or myself? Feel free to email the podcast at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.